a lot of people who are aware of the challenges here, is that it's a bit like my own research area, which is around law and HIV. We have the drugs. The issue is helping people creating a way of taking the drugs, which makes it easy for people to comply. That was always an issue. And I think the same is also true of digitalization in education. We have the technology, we've got the means of doing it, but the challenge we have is making that experience one where the student is cared for, looked after, and at the center of that attention, rather than being, as it were, the object of a technical development, which is efficient for the provider, potentially cheaper, though I think that's often overstated when it's done well. And so I think that's the one area where I think we can't. And flip side of that is when you look at the International Telecommunications Union data on the cost of data and the availability of 5G. I think when I last looked at this, I did a talk on this earlier last year, is that I think the International Telecommunications Union, which is the UN organization, says that broadband and internet access should only cost more than up to about 1.5% to 2% of a person's monthly outgoings. And in Northern Western Europe and in the US, that's about the case. And in fact, it's cheaper in some cases. But in developing countries and in the global south, it can be up to 20-25%. So if we're thinking about global reach, if we're thinking about access and development and taking what we know to people who may be able to benefit from that initial investment without, as it were, investment in infrastructure and equity in access and making it possible to access this extraordinary digital world, all that will happen is the people who are already privileged enough to be able to be on this, what we're doing now, will remain with the people who are in already privileged positions. So the access and inclusion narrative of lifelong learning needs to extend beyond those who are already able to take advantage of it, even if it is quite costly.
We bring voices from across Europe who are shaping the future of lifelong learning. Each EduTalk offers a short and focused perspective on one country, whether it's a practical example or a reflection on current developments.